Well, thank you everyone for stopping by. Take a load off. Let your feet rest for a second. I'm Corinne Zudonyi. I am the editor-in-chief of Contracting Profits Magazine, Facility Cleaning Decisions Magazine, and CleanLink.com. We're going to take this 20 minutes to sit down and get to know Steve Shuchat from All Clean Services in Ohio. Steve is the president of the Building Service Contractors Association International, also known as BSCAI. He is also on the cover of our magazine this month, over there. So if anyone wants to read all about Steve's journey through the industry and get to know him a little bit better, we'll also be doing a photo shoot later and maybe some signings. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. People always say that to me, and I'm like, what? No. So, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry, how you learned about BSCAI, and what you're doing today?
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much, Corinne.
A little bit close. There you go.
Great.
There
okay.
you go.
So, again, I grew up in Ohio, and my parents...
There you go.
That's much better, isn't it? So my parents started our janitorial company when I was 14 years old, so 41 years ago. And it was in a very small town with a population of approximately 22,000 people. They had come from the dry cleaning and uniform rental business, and so they had some great connections. But as that business ended, they needed something else to do, obviously, and debt to pay and kids to get ready to go to college. And so they had a lot of need for income and opportunity, and they were both very entrepreneurial. So with that, they chose the janitorial industry. My dad had experience with carpet cleaning, and so at first they did both residential and some small commercial buildings. And we're in a small geographic area. And as time has gone, over the last 41 years, we've gone to a much broader, about 100 miles around that home base. We've opened up a second office. We've grown to about 180 employees. We now only do commercial work. And we have gotten to a point that over the last year and a half, I've developed a president, and he took over about 15 months ago. So I'm unemployed. So anybody needs anything? No, I'm kind of just luckily involved in regular meetings with our executive team, and am able to delegate everything else out. It's been a wonderful journey, and I'm excited for my next stage, but it is a dream to be able to just come here. A few weeks ago, I was in Auckland, New Zealand at the World Federation of Building Service Contractors convention there, and that was a phenomenal event. So I'm just able to travel a lot and just really experience the wonders of this industry, and it's been just super fun. So that's kind of my story.
Yeah.
And that is my experience so far.
Yeah. So if anyone was in the general session, he is that percentage of people who just goes to meetings all day. So it's a rough life. But you do get to travel quite a bit. You go to a lot of industry events. What would you recommend to others in the industry, building service contractors like yourself or in-house managers? Why is an event like this, or networking in general, at the education sessions or at the party later today, why is that sort of activity important for someone who's trying to grow in this industry?
Well, absolutely. First of all, one of my major focuses is I never want to stop, right? I never want to stop learning. I never want to stop growing. Even in my situation, I'm always kind of looking at what is my next opportunity. That's why I really enjoy being a volunteer with BSCAI and being in the role I'm in. I'm always able to continue to find out about others in our industry, and it's just really exciting. It's energizing. So when thinking about a convention like this, and this is a phenomenal convention, and all the different presenters that we've had this morning, there's there's always something new, and there's always something that I can then communicate to my executive team and say, hey, have you thought of this? Is this coming around in Ohio, or are we poised to deal with robotics? Are we poised to deal with AI? Are we poised to deal with smart buildings? Where are we within kind of that scale of the industry as a whole and the facility management structure we're in as building service contractors? So it's really exciting to be at things like this just to learn more. The other thing is I love finding out about other companies, structure, what they do, how they do it. BSCAI has a wonderful mentorship program, and I've been involved with that for a while. And over the time, it's just so exciting seeing these overwhelmingly energized smaller companies who see the American dream of the building service industry and what they're viewing all these incredible building service contractors and professionals in our industry and saying, how do I get there? How do I get from 3 employees to, 180 employees? How do I go from a startup to being able to independently run my company and not have to have my first job and make cleaning and the building service industry my primary? And working with those people, it just energizes the heck out of me. So walking around and talking to people here, it is really neat, and I just love it.
Yeah. Steve is one of the most excited guys. He makes me so excited to do what I do, and I love it so much. So I love your energy. And a lot to unpack right there. Obviously, being part of an association, there's advantages to that. BSCAI is a great, great group of people who truly want to help one another. But you also mentioned the event like this. And you mentioned a lot of the technology, a lot of the innovation that's happening. You talked about education. What I find at an event like this is education, not just in the conference, in the education rooms upstairs, but down here on the show floor, walking through these booths and seeing what they have to share, learning about what's coming next. And how do you relay that back to your team to say, we could go back and be like, oh my God, I saw this robotic piece of equipment that did X, Y, Z. Or did you know that the efficiencies or the productivity advantages to AI, or, things like that. But how do you really transfer that energy, that information, all of the opportunity that would exist when you learn these things at an event?
That's a wonderful point. So 3 major things. Number 1 is take small steps. Right? Don't try to eat the elephant all at once. Is there a small entry into robotics? Is there a small entry into AI? It's incredibly important to see where the opportunity is without a huge investment. Second, when thinking of this kind of a transformation within our industry, make sure that when I'm talking to my team, I want to make sure they see examples of how this is working well elsewhere, so that they don't feel like they're just taking on something that might have an endless time frame. They never get to execution, and it's almost like, oh my gosh, we're just spinning our wheels. If they see the end result is being incredibly well done with Bud Group out of North Carolina, then they can say, okay, let me talk to somebody there, see how they're doing it, and we can model it around that type of a concept. And the third thing that I think is so important when trying to take technology or concepts we learn here and put them into play with our own companies is recognizing that you can't be the special flavor of the month. You can't walk back to your team and say, Steve just went to a conference. He's going to have 17 new ideas, and we're going to have to at least tell him we're going to implement them because, by golly, he's super energized now. But wait, he will calm down, and then we'll just ignore everything. You got to have a plan. You got to go to them, realize you can only present one thing at a time. We're going to see 100 different great things here, And I've got to pick the one that I'm most excited about and why it is and why it's specifically special to my team, why it's pertinent for them in Ohio, in their markets, with their new customer base that they're implementing, and what that really means. So calming myself down with all the exciting energy and new innovations and wonderful concepts, one thing that I have gotten kind of excited about is the idea of leasing equipment versus always purchasing. I'm from an old school mentality where we look at it and we say, hey, it's you buy it, you have the asset, it's yours, you can see it, you can feel it. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud, I bought that scrubber. And then something happens or it's down and you don't use it, you don't have the best system for maintenance, or you lose the contract. And all of a sudden, I've got a warehouse full of some old stuff. So that kind of concept and coming here and talking to somebody like Sunbelt Rental and others who specialize in that, have great systems for that. That's just a change of thought for me, which I think is exciting because it works for certain things, right? As a contractor, we may get 7 different contracts starting this year, and each one may be a little different, and there may be a different solution for each of them. And how do we implement that with our team? How do we identify the opportunities around that? And it's customizing those opportunities to all of these different vendors in here and every different opportunity we have, and all the presenters looking at what exactly do we focus on and how do we implement something special and unique for that customer, for that employee base.
Yeah, that's really good information. And the building on the rental concepts, right now in both building service, I don't know how many of you are in-house versus building service contractors, but in both areas, obviously staffing is an issue. Some in the in-house, the facility management team is taking on additional teams, sometimes a cleaning team, sometimes a maintenance or a grounds care. And in the building service contract industry, a lot of people are looking at diversified services. They're more and more managers and experts like yourself are having to branch outside their normal bubble of cleaning. And maybe they need to do sweeping the and maintaining the parking lots. Maybe they need to all of a sudden start do roofing or HVAC or relamping or all of these other diversified services, both inside and outside service for BSCs and in-house. Is there any recommendation you can give to our listeners about how to do that effectively? How to start? Where to start?
Yes. I mean, that's a great point, because our industry is often the first point of contact for a customer to say, I have this issue, what do you think? Right? They'll say, hey, I've got a problem with my parking lot. You're the first name that came to mind, and I don't want to go to anybody else. So, Steve, we do a large amount of work with you, so just fix it. And so, what do you say? Yes. Sure. That 3-letter word is often just the answer, right? And then you figure out what the solution is. And so, especially as we were growing, we said yes to everything. We said, you've got an issue in your parking lot, yes, we will figure it out. If we're not the solution, we will subcontract the solution, and we will manage that subcontracted solution. You need snow removal. Yes, we will do it, and we'll buy the equipment. You need all your light bulbs replaced. Yes, we're going to replace every light bulb. You need minor electric solutions in your building. Yes, we'll get certified electricians on our staff. You need to do something, with your landscaping. Yes, we'll remove that tree. We will figure it out. Now, often, at first, that means you're subcontracting, you're building relationships, you're doing things that are outside of your regular comfort zone and building that rapport with the customer. Because in our industry, despite, yes, it's a first to the bottom industry. There is a lot of price restraints on our industry. There's a lot of issues with making sure that everything you do is cost effective for your customer. And your customer is going to evaluate your price, especially once you've said yes and you've fixed their problem. Then they're going to look at your price and say, why are you so high? Do it next time a lot cheaper. But recognizing that once the customer gets that done and comes back to you, they still want to do a relationship with somebody they trust, somebody they know, somebody that they can count on, and someone realistically that's going to say yes when they ask. Now, over time, with a lot of our customers, we have said, in order for us to grow and stay focused, we've said, no but. We don't just say no. We say, here is a better solution than clean all, right? We have a great relationship with them. This is a special work. You don't need work on your pavement, you know. You need a relationship with a paver. You need a relationship with a landscaper. You need that. Your building size is growing. Your landscape is growing. Let's connect you with that. And we've been that conduit. Now, as we've grown and realized what our forte is and what we're best at, we've handed those off and said, have that relationship. We won't be the middleman, you do that. When we were smaller and earlier, we said we will manage that for you. But realistically, we want our managers to focus on that idea of, you know, let's clean the buildings, let's have this workforce, let's manage this workforce. So as we've grown, we've wanted to be more focused so that we can branch geographically instead of branch and diversify in the types of work we do. So we have, in a very positive, rapport-building way, said, we're not the best for this. You should be working with this other contractor. You know, that's just great on landscaping. Work with them. So the first step is say yes to everything. Second step is say no but to everything.
No but. Yeah, thank you. One last question before we wrap up, and this kind of circles back to BSCAI, but to do that, to say no but here's someone else, requires knowing someone else, networking in the industry. Let's talk about, just briefly, benefits of an association, getting to know some of those people, because I know you have a strong relationship with a lot of members. You've been in the industry for a very long time with BSCAI, and how you might have suggested them as a potential partner for your clients.
Absolutely. So one example of this is, in addition to other services, you're asked about other geographies, right? We're in Ohio. They say, hey, we got a plant that's in Kansas. And at first, we would say yes, and we will get the relationship, and we'll just sub, and you'll contact us. And as time has gone on, it makes more sense for us to manage our geography and have someone else do theirs. So what we have done through our relationships is, you know, BSCAI has phenomenal peer group within their association. I've been, as time has gone, I've ended up over the last 35 years, been in 3 different peer groups. And each of them for approximately 8 years, and they've been phenomenal experiences. And from those peer groups, those connections, I've also connected with others in the industry. So if there is an opportunity in a different state, I do have great connections because of the association, because of the peer groups, because of mentorships I've had, because of networking that we do within the association, and all of these kinds of things where you meet people that have those connections and capabilities in other places. So BSCAI is just an incredible place to build those abilities, to build those opportunities for the future. And I would strongly encourage everybody, if you're not a member yet, and you're a contractor, it is so much worth the money. I mean, you will benefit from BSCAI, I would say 10 times the cost of BSCAI in the first year you're here. And there's so many programs, so many opportunities, so many networking opportunities, and so many things for your people to do and build on and grow them and develop your team. So I strongly encourage everyone to look into BSCAI. They're right around the corner. They've got a wonderful booth here, and we are just a really neat organization for this industry, and I'm just so proud of the work BSCAI has done. So. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I just appreciate everything you do. Steve has worked with our group for a very long time, a lot of years, and we appreciate you. And yes, BSCAI is in the 1600 aisle. Chris is probably over there wishing we were talking a lot louder and saying, go to 1600. But I thank you for your time, and I thank you all for stopping in today. If you have any questions for Steve, feel free to come on over. And then I think you're probably going to be at the BSCI booth a little bit later. So,
I'll be around the booth and at the reception that's happening, I think, 5:15.
Yep, our networking reception upstairs at 5:15. We welcome you all to come. It's free. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Corinne.